Hello my journaling friends. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a little mini challenge for myself. Nothing too hard because I feel like I've got a lot going on right now, but I still want to do a fun little video where I basically sit down and journal for 10 minutes every day for a week. I gotta admit, I haven't been journaling too much because there's a lot going on. Like just today, I packed a really huge wholesale order. We still have a lot of outstanding orders, but I just want to make the time to forge a journaling habit again. I used to journal every day and I'm not too hard on myself when I fall out of that habit because life goes on, right? But I just feel like this traveler's notebook is calling to me. So what I'm gonna do is just set a timer for 10 minutes. If I decide to go beyond that 10 minutes, that's totally fine. And I'm gonna try to film every single day for a week while I journal. So maybe you want to do this mini challenge with me? I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and see what comes out of this challenge. So I've got my stationery desk here. I'm just gonna set up and I'm gonna do this little challenge very casually. This challenge is gonna fall on a weekend and my kids are gonna be around. So the real challenge is making room in my busy life for journaling. And I think I can afford to do 10 minutes a day every day. So let's go ahead, put this on an overhead tripod, and then I will talk you through it. To start off the journaling session, I wanted to add a few simple decorations. And I know I didn't have a whole lot of time, so it wasn't going to be a very elaborate spread, but I did want to put some stickers for visual interest. And I had no idea how long it takes for me to put down 3 stickers. I've never really timed myself. So it was a really surprising thing to see 2 minutes fly by after putting down, I think, 3 stickers and then using a fountain pen to write down the date. So this is a very minimal decoration journaling type of video. I have done a lot more in the past, but I think this video is more about the actual act of writing. So I limited my deco in this entire video, but I did really enjoy using the Whimsy sticker sheet. I wanted to do Whimsy because this challenge is very unserious. I didn't want it to be too much pressure at all. I don't even know if I should call it a challenge. Maybe I should call it a simple experiment or a side quest. It's not that big of a deal. And I think that's very helpful, especially if you want to start a habit, because if you put too much pressure, I feel like it makes it so much harder to actually get into. It's that sense of perfectionism that holds us back from making a mark on the blank page. So I decided to just make it fun. And for this entry, I didn't really know what to write. So some of the things that I gravitate towards when I don't know what to do is I either write about how I'm feeling in that moment. I do that a lot. I start off with just like, I feel blah, blah, blah. But today I decided to write what I'm doing. So I'll write like my short-term plans for either that day or maybe that week. And I also like to write what has already occurred for either that day or catching up my journal on what had occurred since I last wrote in my journal. So my last entry was actually April 19th. So that's not too bad. I said that I haven't been journaling in a while, but it's actually been very on and off. So I did do a random entry on April 19th. I had like a little spurt of journaling, but before that, the previous entries were in March. So I guess it's not too bad. I might be exaggerating a little bit when I say it's been a long time since I journaled, but this was my first entry where I plan to do daily journaling for an extended period of time, basically. So that was my first journal entry. I filled up about a quarter of this spread, and you'll notice that my handwriting is quite small. My inserts that I created, this is the ginkgo one, it has a very small grid because I like to write very small. So even though it was 8 minutes of writing, it doesn't encompass a whole lot of space. And I kind of like that because I don't really want to have a big bulky journal, in my opinion. That's just me though. And I like to preface a lot of my videos with like, this is what I do. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. Journaling is so open-ended. You can do whatever you want. So that was day 1, and I think it was pretty cool to basically get something done in a short amount of time that feels very satisfying. Hey everyone, it's day 2. I'm sitting at my desk right now and I am getting ready to do my 10-minute journaling challenge. I'm feeling a little bit off today and it's almost time to get into the evening routine. It's Friday afternoon and I'm feeling a little bit tired. So I'm really glad that it's just 10 minutes. It's not that big of an obligation. And I know that I can definitely do something for 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. For day 2, I had more time to write since I didn't add any decoration. I already did that the day before, so it was just straight into writing. And I kind of like to do that sometimes. It's just to like pre-decorate my pages. I know several people in the community do that. So today I decided to write how I was feeling because I was a little bit out of sorts. I was a little bit lower energy than the day before, and just writing that kind of validates myself and then helps me feel better. So I've been writing the date using the number system, just 0423. No, wait, we're on 0425 actually. And I kind of enjoy doing that with a different color. I had been doing a date stamp before, but I feel like I got tired of like stamping it every day. So honestly, you can just write the date if you want to save time and effort, and whatever is easier for you, whatever feels right for you. I did a simple like train of thought thing, just writing about my tomatoes. I'm actually looking at my journal right now as I do this voiceover, trying to remember what I did, remember the moment. And I just don't really know. I feel like a lot of times when I write, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's okay because that's how I felt in the moment. I felt a little bit overwhelmed. I felt like my thoughts were all over the place. So I went from concept to concept without breaking anything up into paragraphs. And I think not having a lot of, I guess, writing rules when you do journaling is very helpful as well. Just doing that stream of consciousness is very helpful. And I think this sort of guideline that I made for myself, where it was just 10 minutes, is really much more suited to me because there are a lot of other like writing pages that you can do. I know in the book called The Artist's Way, you do morning pages where you write 3 whole pages and you just put everything out onto the page before you start your day. I don't think that would work for me because I feel like 3 pages is a lot. So I kind of adapted that concept of writing to just 10 minutes, and I also do it whenever I want during the day. So I feel like you can always just accommodate yourself. If you know something's not going to work, just lower the expectations a little bit until it does fit you, because all or nothing is not really helpful when you want to start a habit. So that was day 2. I think the words started to flow a lot easier than the day before because I kind of had that mindset. I kind of had that muscle memory of like writing already. And so I did a little bit more writing today without that 2 minutes dedicated to decoration. And I think it was a pretty good success. Tick that off of my to-do list. All right, so it is Saturday and the kids are home. Sam is with them right now, and I'm going to prioritize doing my 10-minute journaling session, even though I have a lot of other competing priorities. Sam and I both have a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of house things to do. I want to clean and organize before we have company coming over, and we also have a ton of like family-friendly events to go to this weekend. Not a ton, just one. I don't know why I exaggerated that. It feels like a lot, I guess. I'm just gonna go ahead and set my timer and get right into it. So this was a Saturday, and I purposefully made this week-long journaling experiment encompass a weekend because as parents of young kids, it is quite difficult sometimes to be able to make time for hobbies such as journaling or working out or doing all these other things, right? And this was a particularly busy weekend for us, but I just wanted to see if I could carve out 10 minutes because there's got to be 10 minutes that I'm just faffing about on my phone or doing something random where I can actually just like intentionally sit down and journal, right? And I don't want it to be a toxic mindset where I'm like, no excuses, you got to do this. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So I know that there's so many people out there in the same situation as us where you have young kids and you're wondering, when am I ever going to get my life back? And it's different for every family, but I will say that when the youngest turns 3, something really changed for us. So I struggled with basically giving myself any sort of self care or making time for hobbies for a long time after my second child was born. I felt like I really lost myself as a person, basically, and I was just a mom. I was just a vessel for raising these young humans. And I really, really just like felt like I couldn't do anything for myself. Partially, a lot of that was, I think, that I couldn't. Like, there are some logistic things that just occur that make me feel that way. But I feel like at a certain point, I was stuck in a mindset that, like, I had to sacrifice everything. And a lot of that comes from society, a lot of that comes from our culture. But I decided to not do that anymore. I feel like I severely burnt out, like as a parent. I took a long hiatus from Serica Studio, from running a small business, closed my shop, everything. And I just felt like a shell of my former self. And I decided to slowly start reintroducing things that made me who I am outside of motherhood again. So, things like journaling, things like self care, things like exercise, gardening, all of these little things that had nothing to do with children, I decided to reintroduce that slowly. And of course, it wasn't as much as I wanted to, but I didn't want to have an all or nothing mindset around that because, of course, that is very detrimental as well. So, something is better than nothing was my mindset. And slowly but surely, I was able to kind of regain my sense of identity outside of motherhood, and that saved me. So, if you are kind of in that same boat, this particular day 3 of this journaling challenge is for you. Of course, I have a really supportive partner who does so much. He gives 110%, and I think that's key. I also have a village, and in some ways, it takes a village is the phrase. And we also have them in school, so that's also key. But I wanted to see if I could do the 10-minute challenge or experiment across a weekend because this was a particularly busy weekend for us as well. We have company coming over, we've got just events scheduled, and the kids want to be with us like all the time. That's something that I'm proud of, that they just want to hang out with us, they want to play with us like nonstop. And all children's temperaments are different as well. So some are needier than others, and some are happy to be independent, and some really need like 24/7 attention. So at this point in the day, Sam was upstairs with them playing Legos. Our house is a little bit open concept. So it's like a little bit difficult to have like a closed off room for privacy sometimes. But I just decided, hey, if they ask for me during this 10 minutes, I'm just going to be like, I will be there after 10 minutes is up. I have this thing going on. So I think you can wait for 10 minutes, right? It's not too long of a time period. And they're at this age, 3 and 5, where it's developmentally appropriate for them to exercise some sort of patience. And I think it's good for them, not just for me, but for the children to see their mom and dad having things that are their interests outside of being a parent. So I think it's good for them to see that I am writing, I'm doing something for myself, I'm dedicating time to take care of my own body. And I think I saw somewhere that if you are feeling like you have to sacrifice everything, that could actually come back and model to your children like, hey, you have to sacrifice everything for someone else. And I think that's not really a healthy mindset to have. So, of course, everything is within reason, right? But for me, I think I had swung so far the other way where I was sacrificing so much of myself. It was not good at all. So this little day 3 was just me writing about my thoughts on that. How I'm so happy to have reintroduced journaling back into my life to the extent that it has. And it wasn't all of a sudden, I would just write a sentence a day, maybe, or even just jot down something in a little calendar so that my journaling was just like a passport size, like little calendar. It wasn't even pages upon pages like this. Any little bit counts. And I think that mindset is really, really helpful to have as a new parent. I went beyond the 10 minutes just because I wanted to finish out this page. And that's 3 days of journaling. As you can see, things started getting easier for me, and I did spend some time doing the deco on the first day. That's why I like to pre-decorate my pages sometimes, just so it's like filled out. If I don't want to like make the deco related to the actual content of the journal entry that day. But I'm excited to see what the next 4 days of this challenge will produce. So I'm gonna go switch gears now and see you tomorrow. For day 4, we are doing a cozy nighttime journaling session. And now, to be honest, I actually journal a lot at night. There are so many times where it's just the right time. Everybody has gone to bed. I want to stay up late and I want to just be with my stationery, maybe put on a little comfort show. And oftentimes I don't show this because filming conditions are not ideal. I've got my little desk lamp. There's no natural light, but it's so cozy. I just love doing it at night. So this day was pretty busy. We had 2 really good families come over, and it was filled with activity. I had absolutely no time to journal. So after washing up, after cleaning everything up, getting the kids to bed, they knocked out pretty early, and it was just time to be with my own thoughts. And this is something that I really enjoy doing instead of doom scrolling or just laying in bed, shining a bright blue light into my face. I feel like replacing that sort of habit with journaling is so much healthier for me. And I know this. I still doom scroll, you guys. I'm not saying that I'm not chronically online. I totally am. But I know that it's better for me to not do that and to journal or even just play like a cozy game instead. So part of my whole thing is trying to break out of old patterns. And even though I know for a fact that it's like better for me to do something else, I just want to like gently nudge myself into doing something that I know is better for me. So that is what this is. I also need to sleep earlier, but there's a part of me that just wants me time, wants alone time so badly that I kind of force myself to stay up late in order to have that little alone time. And that's what this whole little 10-minute session was all about, was just taking that time for myself. So it was almost like good that I limited it to 10 minutes. Of course, I sometimes went over the 10 minutes, but I feel like if I didn't do like a 10-minute thing, it would have led to hours and hours of just staying up being by myself. So I don't know. Maybe it works well in both ways, as a time limit and a time minimum. So that was my nighttime journaling session. Okay, for day 5, I need to be honest with you. I also have an exercise challenge going on at the same time. For 3 weeks out of the month, I want to close all of my rings on my Apple Watch. And this is something that keeps me very motivated. I give myself a 1-week grace period every time I have my actual period. So like, I'm not trying to do all that. I want to rest and just like not be too intense during those times. But yeah, I just feel a lot of energy, and I think that's why I set all these little experiments and challenges and side quests for myself at this time, because I am so high energy and I'm so manic almost. So yeah, it's like 11 p.m. I still haven't closed all the rings and I still need to do this 10-minute thing. So I decided to do it at the same time and do some multitasking. With weightlifting, you do the weights for a certain amount of time, so it might take like 15 to 30 seconds to do your set, and then you rest for a few minutes, like usually 2 to 4 minutes. You let your muscles rest and then you go into your next set. And usually during those 2 to 4 minutes, I'm either like stretching, I'm going on my phone, maybe like answering some comments or messages, maybe scrolling a little bit. I don't know. But instead of doing that, I decided to actually journal during that rest period instead. And honestly, I feel like it was kind of awesome. I feel like it worked out really well. I don't know if I would do that all the time because I really do enjoy sitting at my stationery desk, being surrounded by my aesthetic stationery and my tools and whatnot. But I want to get into this habit of like being able to journal wherever and whenever, whether I'm in bed, whether I just whip it out while I'm out and about, at the playground, at the park, at the library, at a cafe, at a restaurant, and in this case, my bedroom, which is also kind of a makeshift workout space. It's not very aesthetic. Our bedroom is very bare bones because we've put all of our effort into making the studio look nice. We've been here for 5 years and we still haven't made our bedroom look nice. It's like filled with inventory. It's got storage shipping boxes. It's not very pretty, but maybe one day we'll have the time to do that. I'll have to, wait until my next manic episode in order to just like decorate it really nicely. But yeah, it's like a little workout space. And I wanted to be able to journal on this exercise mat and not make it a big deal. I even did a little bit of deco, like a tiny bit. So that was really fun. And I think it worked out really well. I had my timer on, I paused it whenever I needed to do the next set, and I would just journal during the rest set. And I was just writing about my different exercise goals, and I think I wrote a little bit about incremental improvements and how exercise and journaling and doing my goals for my work and doing my goals for my mental health, all of that happens in incremental and gradual steps. It's not like all at once. There's no like big movement. It's all like little tiny steps getting closer toward your goal. It's like compounding movements can really make a huge difference. You don't see those changes really in effect after just a day or two, but you do see them months down the line. You're like, oh my gosh, this time last year, I could not lift this 20-pound weight over my head, but now I can. And it doesn't seem like that big a deal from last week when I was lifting an 18-pound weight, but oh my gosh, I can lift a 20-pound weight. Like, that's so crazy. So I was just writing about how amazing compounding small incremental changes can be. And it's really important to look back and pat yourself on the back for that and celebrate those wins, because sometimes I feel like I'm so focused on the next thing, but taking the time out to journal about my small accomplishments is like really, really good for my mental health. The last 2 days, I've been kind of pushing back my journaling 10 minutes for the end of the day. So today I'm back at my stationery desk. I feel a lot more relaxed. And while I was proud of myself for getting it done no matter what, I think I prefer just having the time dedicated in the middle of the day or even in the morning to do this little exercise. So let's go ahead and do the journaling session. It's the second to last day, and I think I don't even want to put on the 10-minute timer because I know I am going to write for more than 10 minutes. I feel really confident that I'm going to go beyond that. So there's no point in really putting on the timer. Plus, I don't really like having the timer. That's something I've discovered. The timer was simply a tool just to get me started. And while it's ticking, I don't really like seeing the time go by. So it really was just to get me into the habit. Now that we're on the 6th day, I feel pretty comfortable like knowing I'm going to actually sit down and write. All right, so for this day, I just decided to abandon the timer because, to be honest, seeing that time tick away was a little bit stressful, I guess, or unnecessary, or I just like didn't like seeing time go by. Sometimes I don't like to see time passing. It kind of takes me out of that flow state. So I think what I've learned by the time the 6 days have gone by is that the timer was simply a catalyst, a vehicle to get me started, and I don't need it once I get into the task. There is this sort of thing that makes me procrastinate actually starting the task, but once I get into it, I'm into it and I'm like, sure, I can do this and I can keep doing this. So, if you are struggling to initiate something, I feel like doing something to help you get over that hurdle, that discomfort of starting the task, can be really helpful. So, I don't know what it is, but for me, a timer works. I don't know if there are any other cool little hacks that could help me initiate a task, but this one was pretty effective. And by the time I developed that habit, by day 6, I was like, I don't need a timer. I can just do it. Because I can do anything for a certain amount of time if it's short enough, I think. And that's kind of how I started other things too. Like, for example, cleaning. If I find cleaning to be a daunting task, I'll be like, you know what? I'm just going to clean for like 5 minutes, or like I'm going to do a 15-minute tidy, quick decluttering. And before you know it, I have cleaned the entire house. So I feel like starting things can be so daunting sometimes. But then once you just trick your brain into actually starting and being like, hey, I promise you it's just going to be for a short amount of time. And then it kind of soothes your brain into thinking like, I'm not committing for that long. And then once you do it, your brain's like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. And then you can do it. So that's kind of what I've learned here. And I'm just writing about, I guess, how successful I've been finding this whole little week-long experiment and just celebrating that win for myself. I think there is a theme coming up here is like, let's make it fun, let's make it low pressure, and let's just try to find the fun in journaling and in life. So, yeah, I think that was pretty cool. We only have one more day. I cannot believe it. I've had a whole lot of fun with this sort of format as well. So this is my first time doing like a week in my journal thing. But I think not only did I prove to myself that I can journal every day for a short amount of time, but I can also record a YouTube video every day for a short amount of time. And that's something that is a little personal challenge for me as a content creator. Sometimes I struggle with consistency, but I feel like this proved to myself like I'm not filming a major motion picture right now. I'm just doing a little casual YouTube video. And once I get into that mindset, like it's not that big a deal. I can do it, you know? So I feel like it was a little bit of a double challenge for me. And of course, with the changing of the angles and operating the camera footage and whatnot, it did tack on a little bit of time. So for me, instead of 10-minute journaling, it was more like 10-minute journaling and 5 minute of filming, like getting the shots all framed up and stuff and changing angles. But it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too hard at all. And so I feel like this was really great practice in proving to myself, hey, you can do a little YouTube thing where you film a little bit every day. So awesome. Okay, so that was my journaling session. I don't know how long it was, but judging by what I filmed, it was more than 10 minutes. And I'll see you tomorrow for the last day of the challenge. Wow, it is the last day of the challenge, and I honestly didn't even film a little face thing talking to the camera because I totally forgot. That's because I had already spent an hour and a half filming a May Plan With Me video that I released last week, so I'm just going to take you out on a little voiceover journey here. For this last little bit, I actually wrote so much already that my hand was getting tired. I wrote so much for my May stuff. My May planner in my other traveler's notebook. But you know what? That's fine. And like I said, there's no strict guidelines here in Serica Studio. We're just flying by the seat of our pants. And I had such a good time with this little week-long thing. Let's see here. What did I write? I wrote a little bit about my thoughts on the whole week, and I wanted to journal some more. I feel like I want to do more deco. I feel the urge to do more photo printing. I do have a tutorial on that if you like to do photo printing. I didn't do any photo printing because there's no way I can do that in like the 10-minute span and do writing as well. But this little thing really made me want to do more kinds of journaling. So incorporating other visual elements, maybe doing some vision boarding or mood boarding. That sounds so fun. It just really got my feet wet and back into being in my traveler's notebooks, experimenting with stationery, posting more as well, and connecting with the community. So I think overall this was a very successful little thing for me, and I had a great time. Let me know in the comments if you have any additional insights into starting a journaling habit, or maybe reviving one or keeping up with a journaling habit. I feel like we can all learn from each other in the comments here. And yeah, I think it's just all good fun. Sometimes, you just need a little boost. You need a timer to get you going, but maybe after a while it's not necessary. I don't know. Maybe you need a little bit of deco to make you interested in it. Maybe you don't need any at all and you just want to write your little heart out. That's totally fine. It's all good. But any hoozles, this was a very fun little day. I feel like what's happening right now is I can't stop talking. I don't know how to. Sometimes once you pop, you can't stop. That's how I am. But I do have other things to do. I have a ton of orders to pack right now, so I'm gonna go do that. I wish you all happy journaling, happy planning, and until the next video, I'll see you next time. Bye.